Well, former US Ambassador Henry S. Ensher joins us live now from San Diego in California. Thank you very much for your time. First of all, let me start with Donald Trump's claims that regime change has already happened in Iran. What do you make of those claims, and what truth do you think there is in them?
So thanks for the opportunity. Look, regime change, if it means anything, has to mean a change of the system, a change in the means of governance. So in fact, I don't think that's happened. I think we've seen a change in personnel, but it remains to be seen whether the new personnel are going to do anything different than the old guys, right? If anything, these people might well be more radical and harder line on a range of questions, like the use of nuclear weapons, like the increasing militarization of Iran's society and governance. Really, the military, I mean, the IRGC, may well have just taken over and be more determined to stay in power. So could be a more radical shift. That I think is more likely.
And Henry, what did you make of, or what was your assessment of Donald Trump's latest comments? They were mostly rather celebrating the rescue of the 2 US airmen in Iran. But we did get a few more details regarding the wider conflict, including Trump saying that Iran could be taken out in one night, warning that night might be Tuesday. What was your assessment? Did we learn anything new, or was it just yet more repetition of what he's said previously, flip-flopping between what seems like frantic diplomacy and yet more threats?
So I heard also Secretary of War Hegseth saying that today, Monday, is the most intense period of bombing and attacks. And he said that tomorrow it will be even more intense. So frankly, so far it's a repetition, and the careful briefing on the tactical success of getting our pilots back, and thank God for that. Look, tactical successes do not lead up to strategic success, or they don't add up, and then you get a strategic success. If anything, I think we're headed for an agreement in which the strategic situation will be largely the same, if not a little bit worse from U.S. perspective than it was before the war, except that we will have had a number of people killed. We will have killed a lot of Iranians, and we will have spent a lot of money. So tactical successes do not necessarily mean strategic success. And I'm concerned that that's where we're headed.
And regarding this rescue of the 2 US airmen in Iran, because there was a lot of focus on that in that press conference earlier, and the comments from Donald Trump. Do you think that this might embolden Donald Trump even further with regards to this conflict, or could the operation to recover the pilots, in fact, dissuade Donald Trump from any ground operation moving forward?
I think that it's more likely to embolden. You know, at one point after the Maduro capture, he rightly noted that it had come very close to a real disaster. And that did not stop him, obviously, from moving on to Iran. So if anything, I think that it's possible that he will think of himself, or that he will consider that in the end, things will always work out okay for him. And that therefore, he might well be inclined to proceed. Look, the U.S. military will cover a lot of strategic or national policy errors with tactical successes. The U.S. military will always perform. I can tell you from dealing with these guys on a personal basis, they are serious about nobody ever being left behind, and they will bring all of their capabilities and courage to achieving this kind of a tactical success. However, they alone cannot guarantee strategic success. that is a matter for national leaders like the president. And we are not near a strategic success at this moment.
So my question to you next is, if this ceasefire or talks aren't possible and this deadline does pass and the US does follow through on its threats, where does this war go next? What are we looking at?
So it's a lot of ifs there, you'll forgive me, but I can readily imagine that there would be significant strikes on energy infrastructure and on civilian infrastructure as well. We've already seen one instance of that in the destruction or the damaging of the bridge. I can also see very clearly that we are now, or the U.S. is now in the position to put a small number of troops on the ground to do specific tasks in specific places. That does not mean a full-scale invasion and an attempt to drive on the capital and finally kill off the regime, as we have done in other places. But I think it is absolutely possible now that we'll see more targeted strikes on infrastructure and some use of actual ground forces. That, to me, is possible now, unless there's a deal. And by the way, the deal that's on the table, that's easily doable. Is ceasefire and a commitment of some opening of the Strait of Hormuz and negotiations leading forward. Look, that's where we ended up in Gaza, and frankly, there have been no movements toward a real change in the situation of Gaza, but the shooting has mostly stopped. I suspect that's where we're going to end up.
Henry, thank you very much for your analysis and your time.